The James Webb Space Telescope is Hubble's scientific successor, and I like to think of it as NASA's vehicle for the deepest space exploration that humanity can do. It will allow us to see farther back in time to the time when the very first stars and galaxies were being born. Additionally, it's different from Hubble in that it's an infrared optimized telescope. And so this means it will allow us to peer through clouds of gas and dust in our own galaxy where stars and planets are being born today. To make sure any kind of spacecraft works, what we need to do is a lot of testing here on Earth before we launch it into space. And so we test things at the very smallest component level, and then we assemble them into larger structures, and we test it at that level, and we assemble them into even larger structures, and we test it at that level. And so it's through this process of incremental build and test, as we like to call it, that we assure ourselves that the structure we eventually launch will perform as we need it to. Short answer is, of course, very carefully. So you want to test all the relevant environments or the things that will put the hardware through stressing situations. And so you want to test for things like, will it survive launch? Will it survive the extremely cold temperatures, minus 400 Fahrenheit it has to? Will it deploy, fold out like it needs to? And if you go to the Goddard Space Flight Center right now, in the clean room there, they have the telescope deployed, and there they're doing optical testing. So after you've done some of these other tests, deployment or launch vibration, you need to make sure your optics still work, and so you do optical testing of the telescope. I guarantee you that the scientific community will use Webb to study the TRAPPIST-1 system. I was at a science conference last week, and this was among the hot topics that were discussed there. The community is very excited to use NASA's next great telescope to study exoplanet systems, and so things like the TRAPPIST-1 systems and possibly other nearby exoplanets will be among the first things that Webb looks at once it starts its science operations. You can go to nasa.gov or you can go to jwst.nasa.gov to see lots of information about the Webb. There's information about the engineering behind it. There are thousands of images and there are videos about it. There's discussions of the science that we've planned for the mission, and even a little bit about some of the people who are building the Webb.